I mean, I am so proud to be an American.
Actually, she said I was about to take my own life.
That you're not alone, and that your brain is lying to you, and that people do care about you, and you will be missed if you're gone.
I lost my daughter. She died by suicide.
And I looked at him, I knew he was dead, and then I had to go treat the guy who shot him.
And don't give up. NEGU, N-E-G-U, never ever give up.
Thank you for tuning in to this special series of Faith in Your Recovery. We're coming to you live from Lucas Oil Stadium at the Fire Department International Conference. We hope you enjoy these stories from the front lines. Stay tuned and God bless.
Welcome to Faith in Your Recovery. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. Along with me is Michael Murphy of Ravenna, Ohio. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us. Thank you. Tell the folks what your occupation is, where you're at in life right now.
Where I'm at right now is just currently retired from being a firefighter paramedic as a career. So
How long were you at that, Michael?
I was a firefighter paramedic for 15 years.
For 15 years?
Yes,
wow.
I was. And then ended up getting injured on a job, so I ended up have to lead the career.
Aha, I thought you looked a little young to be retired by age.
I do look young for my age, but at the same time, in reality, if I was still on the job, I'd have 2.5 years till retirement.
Okay.
So I got in early. I got in young, so...
You were able to get out a little earlier, unfortunately.
Well, earlier than I wanted.
Yeah. Was it a meaningful career to you?
It was my life. It's like most first responders, it's your identity. You become your career. Unlike a lot of other careers.
Yeah. So it takes that kind of commitment, that kind of seriousness, that kind of willingness to give at any moment, all day long, and the next moment as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't imagine what it's like to go out on a call, especially one filled with a lot of trauma, and to deal with those moments, that possible death or the calamities of it all, to go back to the station and in 5 minutes you're out on another call before you can process what you've just been through.
It's when you're on the job so long, and it's different for everybody. A lot of people, we shut off our emotions. And it's sad to say, but it's one of those things you have to have that switch.
You've got to be able to control yourself or you can't be of any benefit if you're, and I'm not trying to make light of anything, but if you're feeling like putty, you can't be very strong for anyone.
No.
Physically, emotionally, or anything else.
Yeah, oh, yes, sir.
So how did you deal with the trauma through the years? How did you find your peace after a loss or the woulda, coulda, shouldas or,
For me, when I was on the job, a lot of it was, I worked, and I worked a lot. When you're away from the job, that's where your mind can wander. That's where stuff. But you work a lot. You dive yourself into the job, and it's sad to say, first responders don't get paid a lot. So you do have to put in the hours to actually earn a living. So overtime helps.
Does that almost become an addictive lifestyle? And I know it's not a drug or alcohol, but
if you are definitely like the adrenaline, nothing's like kind of going into a house fire. It's you're going in there to save life and property, but at the same time you get to go in and break stuff.
So that's the good side.
You try to save as much as you can, but you get to sit there and put wet stuff on the hot stuff and break stuff. So you got the good side too. And so then there's a little bit of danger in there. So
what led you into that career?
Sad. It's kind of a crazy story. Like most people, it was my father. But, how I got led into it wasn't, the typical path. Yes, my dad was, he was a part-time, and volunteer fireman. And, he thought it would be a good career for me. But it was more so, both my sisters, dropped out of college, and by the time I was in high school, I got told I wasn't even allowed to go. They wasted his money, and I was.
These are older sisters.
Yeah, these were older sisters.
They kind of set a path
they set a path that I ended up
expected you to follow, and they didn't want that.
Yeah, so it's I was told I wasn't allowed to go to college, and I was kind of just trying to find my way in high school, and my dad was like, here, and it was one of those things. I was like, yeah, I could do that, and I did, and with all the negativity around me, I did. So
yes. Tell us about some of the experiences in your life, moments that have caused you to deal with yourself the most deeply.
Kind of go deeper on that question. Like,
okay,
what do you mean?
Sure. You mentioned to me earlier that you've had your challenge with mental health issues and things that have gone on. What are the experiences that created that in you or caused you to, have to step up or to step away, however you may have handled it?
I mean, I will, like most, first responders and like most people in general, I didn't deal with my mental health at all. At all. I ignored it. I, pushed it aside. I worked more. I, did everything I could to get away from it. It wasn't until, after I got hurt and got retired that I had to start facing it, and I still didn't want to face it. And it was, after losses and everything else, I finally broke, and we can get into it further, but when I broke, and I had to find help. So I was there to the end, trying to fight, push it away up until I couldn't do it anymore.
So what happened at that point?
I got in a fight with my wife, and I ended up going into the bedroom, and I just literally broke down, and she came in, and she was like, hey, she's like, you need help, and I was like, I do. So, and that's what sent me to a center. So,
okay, what center did you go to?
I ended up going to the Center of Excellence, the International Association of Firefighters, Center of Excellence. So it's a center just for union firemen. So it's just firemen that were there, and so a lot of people are dealing with similar or the same problems or overlapping problems that you can maybe relate to. So we're different than other people. So we kind of need a little bit extra, special treatment, sort of like a soldier.
A different understanding, if nothing else. Yeah, somebody who gets it.
Yeah, a soldier sees trauma, when they're deployed for 6 months, and, they don't, when you become a soldier, they don't really go through any mental, psychological testing, but as a fireman, you do, and, to see if you're able to do the job first, but you're seeing traumas, every shift for 25, 30 years. So for me, it was only 15, but, I had other things on top of that, so, I had to deal with.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess that during that time, during that trauma, that you were doing your best to set aside, instead of setting it aside, you're stacking it probably.
Oh, absolutely.
And the day came where you had to climb over it and just couldn't make that climb.
Yeah, I focused completely on, it was completely on survival, completely on, my wife, my son, making sure that they had what they needed, before myself. It was literally survival. It was just to the next day, get what they need.
It wasn't living life.
No.
It was just getting through.
Yes.
Wow,
absolutely.
That had to be a tough time in a lot of ways, and that
was.
Had to build upon what was already there.
Yeah, because you figure everything, you're during those times you're dealing with, loss of job, that comes, at times financial restraints, you're dealing with loss of identity, and then, health problems, and then amongst of other things. So yeah, it just kept on building, and I kept on stacking and didn't care, just let it be there, try, head down, grind forward.
Finally, it came crashing down.
Yeah. When I had to sit down and do nothing,
yes.
it came back. Those demons came.
Caught up.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let's look back. Would you go through the same experiences again where you are today if you knew you were going to deal with what you had to deal with?
I can't answer that honestly.
Okay.
It is
that's fair.
And I think is, being what I've gone through, I live my life by saying, and it's really kind of helped me with my healing path. I actually got a tattoo on my arm with it. It is, the person you were is the person you needed to be the person you are today.
Hit us with that again. I love it. Hit it again.
It's the person you were is the person you needed to be the person you are today.
Okay.
It's actually a screen name of mine on social media. It basically means is that, whatever you've been through, what you did, who you were at that point, is whatever the outcome was, created you into that moment of who you are now. Even the people around you, how they were, like, your parents raising you, how they raised you. It is how they were is how they created you to be the person you are today.
Got that.
However you are today, good or bad, your past is what created you. Your past doesn't make you, but it's what created you.
Got that. So your past is much like a recipe. You put in a spoon of this, a cup of that. It's going to come out with a finished product. This was it, but it doesn't mean that product can't be changed.
Yeah, I mean, it's
got
exactly.
you where you are, but you don't have to stay where you are, be who you are.
Exactly.
Awesome. I like that.
It's a therapist told me that, and it actually took, a couple weeks for it to actually sink in, but, another therapist, through a group sat there and said something, and that statement hit me like a 2x4, literally across the head, and I was like, wow, okay, I get it. I get it.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Good
and
stuff.
it stuck.
Yeah. So, Michael, go ahead. Let's say there's somebody else out there who they were in the shoes you were in, a few years back. What's the advice you give them? And I know and you know that no one past's going to get us all there, or we wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing with. But what would you like to say to that individual who's struggling, who's building that stack? How could you help them move forward before it tumbles on them?
It's not over. Simply put, even if you're at your darkest times, there's light. I mean, it's not over. The worst, yes, you might have to deal with, your traumas. You might have to deal with continued, injuries, illnesses, but, it's not over. You have to see the greatness. You have to see, what's still there, what the possibilities still there, and find your way, find what's meaningful to you. And that's simply it. The point is, for me, it's, you have to sit there and put you first. And it sounds, stupid, it sounds cliche, but the whole time I've been talking to you, I was telling you, hey, I put my head down, my wife was first, my son was first, everything was first but me. And I broke. I could only handle it so far, and I look back, and I mean, my marriage wasn't great. I mean, it was there, my wife loves me, she's still beside me, but go to find out how I was acting, the anger that was coming out, our marriage was rougher than I thought, but we're still together.
There was probably some denial there,
absolutely.
Just like you were dealing with
Absolutely.
As far as putting everything else aside. You refused to see the struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I was angry at the world. I mean, dealing with injuries, dealing with an illness, just everything in the past. Yeah, I mean, I was angry at the world. I didn't see a future. And, my future's not, I tell people my future and they're like, oh, yeah, it's not roses. My future's not roses, but at the same time, I'm here, it's the point of, living today, and taking today, putting you first. Because if you're not, if you're not 100%, if you're not putting you first, you can't give everybody else around you that you love the support that they need.
I believe that.
If you're like, oh, I give everything to my wife and son. Well, no, you're not, because if you're not 100%, you can't give that to them.
I think we get into the mind of thinking it's selfishness when we take care of ourselves first. Oh, I could be doing for somebody else, or I could be producing something. But if you can't produce good mental health, you're not going to produce good actions outside of that moment. And it's tough, to find that identity. You mentioned that with the loss of the job. How are you doing with the transition? How's that working for you?
It was rough, for a while. There's denial. You miss it. I mean, you do miss it. Like I said, being a first responder becomes part of your identity. So, losing your career, you lost part of your identity. So it's a loss of part of yourself. So it's, I am absolutely happy to be at FDIC for the first time in my life. And it's sad I'm no longer a fireman. But I'm absolutely stoked that I still get to be kind of part of the system here. Whether it's mental health, and it's part of me. You
still have that fireman's mind, that fireman's heart. Just because you're not active when the alarm goes off doesn't mean it's not in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. Where do you see yourself going in the future? What are plans there? Have you been able to look there yet?
You know what? I have no idea.
Okay.
And that's kind of exciting in a way. Just for the simple fact is I don't have to. And it's kind of awesome in a way. It's I've really, through our marriage and everything, I've really supported my wife and kind of put her through school. And she's in a position to where, she's making enough money. I don't need to supplement anything, so I can just, be retired, which I've never been before. So that's kind of nice, but it's weird in the same time. And in reality, there's a lot of things, even though I look the way I look, I can't do. Like, I can't stand a long time. So there's a lot of restrictions. I did become a realtor for a little bit. Didn't quite like it.
That's okay, too.
You don't have to. And I made good money, though. It got us in a good financial position as well. So I am very appreciative of that. But like right now, it's really my focus is on, just helping others with mental health, with first responders.
How do you do that? How are you living that out?
It's obviously I sit on the board for the Worldwide Peer Support, that I'm here at the FDIC with now. I also, I don't sit there and publicize this too much, but I'm actually a TikTok creator. When I said my screen name, it is actually the person I am today. So if you went on TikTok, you could find me. I don't make much. I'm not like TikTok creators actually, unless you have like millions and millions of followers.
Yes.
Yeah, I make pennies.
Interesting. Tell the folks about the Worldwide Peer Recovery Support. Is that?
Yeah, the Worldwide Peer Support?
Yeah, tell them about that.
Yeah, so the Worldwide Peer Support that I'm here with today, we offer peer support to first responders 3 days a week, twice on Sunday. The Sunday meeting in the afternoon is actually coming from England. And if we need to help find first responder treatment, whether it's mental health or substance, we try to place them if they need it, and also with any financial hardships that may be, we try to find scholarships or a way to form.
How do folks tie into that? How can they get involved with that? How do they get into those classes? Yeah.
Okay, it's you can actually get into the Worldwide Peer Support to a meeting just by going to www.worldwidepeersupport.org and clicking on one of the Zoom links right down below. Actually, I think they moved it right to the top of the page now, and get on there and you check out the whole page and all the information that we have provided. So
worldwidepeersupport.com?
.org.
Worldwidepeersupport.org.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. What else would you like to share? Maybe from your past, your experience, anything you think would be a benefit to others. You've said over and over you want to be able to share what you can and be a difference maker.
It's really, for me, it's just like my past. It's everyone can, for me as a fireman, I'm kind of everyone has a story. Everyone's story is important. It's mine really overlaps a lot of people's. Just for the simple fact, a lot of first responders come I didn't know this until I went through mental health, but we actually come from, troubled childhoods. That's not, I'm not any different. I've had the bad calls, just like every other fireman, has been on, or EMS personnel has been on. After that, I got injured on the job. There's a handful of guys that, lose their career every day from injury.
I'm sure.
So, I battle that, and then on top of that, I deal with, I lost a kidney due to toxic smoke exposure. So I'm battling kidney disease on that. And with that, they don't even have a diagnosis. I don't know what my future is. I'll, probably end up having a, maybe transplant in the future, dialysis. I don't know.
How long ago was that?
That
you
was,
lost the kidney?
That was 4 years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm a case study out of Wake Forest. And for my back surgery, I'm a case study out of Cleveland Clinic. So, yeah, it's, things just kind of, I'm just a, walking case study. And
that's another way of helping people.
A surgeon's dream.
Yeah, not one we'd wish for,
no.
But it's another way of helping people.
Yeah, so
and when we make ourselves vulnerable to serving others, we never know how that's going to play out, do we?
No, so it's kind of crazy, everything that I've been through. A lot of firemen can relate. So a lot of people can tie from my story. And then completely unrelated, I mean, I've dealt like family history. My sister's, she's been on drugs, multiple suicide attempts. My father was raised by 2 alcoholics, had to find his dad, dead by suicide at 18. My son lost his best friend from suicide. And it was really sad. He got tied up with some really bad people at his work. Teenager at a work, working a teenage job at a restaurant. And those people that person was tied to were tied to the dark web.
Okay.
Those people targeted my son and was going to kill me and my family. So that was a moment there.
Wow.
So I have a lot.
There's a lot of
going on. So yeah. So when I broke, it was my first therapist I went to go see. After every session, told me I was a lot. The second one called me a bunch. And I got referred to a third one, and she took me because I was interesting and unique. So, so when I finally really snapped, I ended up going to the Center of Excellence. So I figured I needed an upgrade even further. So my story is long and vast. So it's
obviously.
Yeah.
Wow, it comes at you. It's kind of a shotgun approach and everything you've dealt with.
Yeah.
Okay, like throwing rice at the barn door, and it's going to hit everywhere. Well, obviously, you've come a long way. The title of our podcast, and folks, we want you to know our podcast is now well over 28,000. We're moving toward 30,000 listeners. So obviously, something's going right. We're glad that you've tuned in today. But going back, reminding you again, the title of our podcast is Faith in Your Recovery. What's that mean to you in your words and your life?
In me, it's more it's more internal. I mean, you have to have faith in yourself. You really do. You have to have faith in yourself, and have faith in people around you that are willing to help. That are there, because you can't do it alone. You can't. I mean, I tried.
Dr. Phil would say, how'd that work for you?
Yeah.
You've got to go, it didn't.
I tried. I tried. And I also tell everybody, I was like, man, everyone has a breaking point. Everyone does. The
goal is to get help one moment before you reach it,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. And, there's no reason to, it's mental health is your health, and that definitely holds true. It age. If you don't have good mental health, I mean, it'll age you
in a hurry.
Well,
and you made a comment earlier. I'm not sure exactly how you said it, but your quality of life was very minimal. It sounded like.
Yeah, I mean,
you're dealing with that, and your energies are spent hiding it instead of dealing with it. that it took you into the darkness.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and until we're willing to shine a light on that, let it be seen, and admit it and step forward, we're going to continue to go down that spiral, that rabbit hole. I think you called it earlier. Yeah. So, Michael, is there anything else you'd like to share with the folks?
No, I don't think so. If you're struggling, reach out. It is no shame. Like your mental health is your health. I mean, it's you matter most, and that's it. It's like I said, it's you can't be 100% for your family or the ones you love unless you're 100% for yourself.
Yeah.
So
I believe in people becoming everything they've been created to be, and if you're not dealing with your mental health, you're not going to get there. And we all have our moments. We all have our times. I've had those dark times. We all have, and the key is to deal with it properly in a healthy way. Watch what we're thinking, watch what we're doing, watch our influence on others to step forward and to keep going.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, listen, we thank you for your time, and we're glad you're here with us today at the FDIC, and we hope you'll have a safe journey back home. Thanks for the service you gave to the people of Ravenna, Ohio, in that area in your career. Thank you for what you're doing for folks now through your sharing and your caring and offering yourself. And we hope all goes well in the future.
All right. Thank you, sir.
God bless and thank you.
Appreciate it.